it was a living room, no furniture. Everybody sat on the floor in a circle. Nick Woloshek would read the Word of God and would have kind of a discussion period afterwards. And there were so many hungry hearts during those days, as I mentioned, just driving down to the plaza and just yelling Bible studying, having a van fill up with people. There were many, many, spiritual seekers in those days, and there was just a great love for the Lord. There was just a real, I don't know, there was a chemistry that was happening in Santa Fe, and and I don't say this in a negative way at all, but it was like the mainline denominational churches were drying up, and they were actually calling us and begging us to come and share a testimony in their church because they had not seen a move of God in some of the mainline denominational churches. And they were excited to see, and people were excited to hear what God was doing through, just what many would consider the outcast of Santa Fe. These were drug users, these were hippies, these were commune people that were living up in the mountains. They were street people. They were sleeping, under bridges. We had the house that I stayed at was called the Faithway House, and it was known throughout the city. The police knew about it. Bus stations knew about it. And if someone was traveling through town and needed a place to stay, they would come over and stay at the house that I was, kind of in charge of, called the Faithway House. It's on a street called Faithway Street, right across from La Posada. It's called I think it's called the Preston House or the Peterson House. I can't remember which, but right at the end of that street, and just a beautiful place. I mean, just gathering on the porches. It was the kind of thing that kind of reminds me a little bit of the stories that you hear about Azusa Street, where before the pastor would even show up, there would be, 15, 20, 25 people waiting, just to hear the Word of God. There was just that real spiritual hunger for the Word of God in that day. I think each generation goes through its own process of learning. My process was having those that were real believers extending love and grace and mercy to me. And when I saw what real Christians were like, rather than the pointing of the finger or, coming down with a heavy hand of judgment and getting in my face and telling me all about my sin. The thing about sin is you don't have to tell people that they're sinners. Deep inside they know. There's a conviction that's going on inside their life. And so to get in someone's face and wag your finger and to bring judgment on them is really not going to be the way that you win them. They're going to be won through extended love and grace and mercy. That's how I was won. I was won to the Lord through someone that, had I been in his shoes, and I'm talking about Nick, this is my father-in-law, and saw this hippie kid showing up, doing drugs and, messing with my daughter, I would have run him out. I would have run myself out of town, and instead he extended love and grace and mercy to me, and just shown me the kindness of God. And I could see God just working through him. And I think that's what, really touched and won my heart.